Okay, so the last video we were talking about willingness. Yes, you should be willing, God willing, you're willing. Yeah, willingness is important, which usually means we have to get to a place where, we're tired of living the way that we're living. So I'm going to continue to read. Hopefully we can get something done here in the next 10 minutes. My apologies for not posting for the last 2 or 3 days. Got busy with life. That's what happens when you get recovered. You have jobs and obligations and responsibilities that you end up earning. Okay? Yeah, I earned the responsibilities I have today. And thank God every day that I have them. And thus I was convinced that God is concerned with us, humans, when we want him enough. At long last, I saw, I felt, I believed, scales of pride and prejudice fell from my eyes. A new world came into view. The real significance of my experience in the cathedral burst upon me. For a brief moment, I had needed and wanted God. There had been a humble willingness to have him with me, and he came. But soon the sense of his presence had been blotted out by worldly clamors, mostly those within myself, and so it had been ever since. How blind had I been? At the hospital, I was separated from alcohol for the last time. Treatment seemed wise, for I showed signs of delirium tremens. There I humbly offered myself to God as I then understood him, to do with me as he would. I placed myself unreservedly under his care and direction. I admitted for the first time that of myself I was nothing, that without him I was lost. I ruthlessly faced my sins and became willing to have my newfound friend take them away, root and branch. I have not had a drink since. So he's talking about steps 3 and 4 here at this moment. And then my schoolmate visited me. I fully acquainted him with my problems and deficiencies. We made a list of people I had hurt or toward whom I felt resentment. I expressed my entire willingness to approach these individuals, admitting my wrongs. Never was I to be critical of them. I was to right all such matters at the utmost of my ability. So he's referencing step 8 there at the last sentence and step 5 at the beginning. So we've gone through now step 3, 4, and 5. I was to test my thinking by a new God consciousness within. Common sense would thus become uncommon sense. There's step 10, right there. I was to sit quietly when in doubt, asking only for direction and strength to meet my problems as he would have me. Never was I to pray for myself except as my requests bore on my usefulness to others. Then only might I expect to receive, but that would be in great measure. My friend promised when these things were done, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator, that I would have the element of a way of living which answered all my problems. Believe in the power of God, plus enough willingness, honesty, and humility to establish and maintain the new order of things were the essential requirements. Simple, not easy. A price had to be paid. It meant destruction of self-centeredness. I must turn in all things to the Father of light, who presides over us all. These were revolutionary and drastic proposals. When he's saying the word proposals here, really he means steps. Those are our steps. But the moment I fully accepted them, the effect was electric. There was a sense of victory followed by such a peace of serenity as I had ever known. There was utter confidence. I felt lifted up, as though the great clean wind of a mountaintop blew through and through. God comes to most men gradually, but his impact on me was sudden and profound. That was his spiritual experience from participating in the steps. We have to remember that Step 8 is about making a list and becoming willing to talk to those, and so is step 9. And basically, that's what he's done here. He's made a step of the people that he has to make recompense to, or say his apologies for his actions and his behaviors. But he has to, really, that's the only thing that's asked of us is to be willing to do it. Once you do that, you're already participating in step 9, and you can move to step 10, 11, and 12. The one thing I would like you to recognize here is these steps did not take Bill weeks and weeks to get through. As a matter of fact, it took days. This is exactly how I help people through a set of steps. I don't believe in taking weeks and weeks and weeks and so on and so forth. As a matter of fact, I drank without pop because I liked the effects of it sooner than later. If I'm going to look at my recovery in the same vein, I need to think about this in the context of how do I get there in a way that's honest for what I need it to be. The only person, as I said all the way back at the beginning, that you have to be honest with is yourself. I don't give a shit if you lie to me, and neither does anybody else in the rooms. We're the test pilots, okay? We're the people who are the most forgiving. The people in the real world, the normies out there, they're not as forgiving as us, unfortunately. They don't understand our affliction, and that's fair. They don't have to. That being said, I want you to recognize how long this took him. Days. A weekend, basically. A weekend. And he was off ready to rock and roll and start helping people. This idea that steps have to be drawn out and take forever. No. You can be as honest as you can be right now, even more honest than anything. As honest as you can possibly be. That's all we're asking for. And then let's say some things pop up later on. It's not because you weren't honest about it. You just forgot, which happens. You can always go back and do a step 4 and 5. Or you can always go back and do a step 9. Once you're through a set of steps in sequential order, you can always go back and redo a 4 or 5, or a 6 or a 7, or a 10, or a 9, or a 10. Like 10 is your daily anyways, right? So all I'm getting at is you can always go back to those steps. Your step 1, 2, and 3 you got for life, God willing. Your step 5, doing that whole confession basically with somebody else. We have to understand that you really have to base that on a step 3. You got to believe in God that He's put you in the right place in order to talk to somebody who can help you through that step 5. That's really what it takes. So I'm going to continue to read, and you'll see here, it wraps up pretty fast. For a moment, I was alarmed and called my friend the doctor to ask if I were still sane. He listened in wonder as I talked. Finally, he shook his head, saying, "Something has happened to you. I don't understand, but you had better hang on to it. Anything is better than the way you were. The good doctor now sees many men who have such experiences. He knows that they are real." While I lay in the hospital, the thought came that there were thousands of hopeless alcoholics who might be glad to have what had been so freely given me. Perhaps I could help some of them. They, in turn, might work with others. My friend had emphasized the absolute necessity demonstrating these principles in all my affairs. Particularly was it imperative to work with others as he had worked with me. Faith without works was dead, he said, and how appallingly true for the alcoholic. For if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive in certain trials. He could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. If he did not work, he would surely drink again, and if he drank, he would surely die. Then faith would be dead indeed. With us, it's just like that. So again, very, very quickly, he's ready to help people. As addicts and alcoholics, we need to understand that working with others is what's a necessity for us. We're selfish people, just in the way that we are. It's like our DNA or something. Especially when it comes to our poison. for a lack of a better term. So that being said, we need to really, really make dang sure that we're freely giving of our time for those who really, really need it. This is why it's a necessity for us to be volunteering our time with others who are in the fellowship. And where do we meet those people who need our help? We go to meetings frequently in order to talk about how these principles worked in our daily affairs, how we were able to find our daily reprieve from the addiction that we have. Reprieve literally means pushing off my addiction for another day. I'm a recovered addict. I'm not recovering. I'm recovered because every day I do what's necessary in order to be recovered. I earn it. I earn it. Just as you will. Earning it today isn't as difficult as it was when I first started, but I still earn it every day. So with that, I hope, we'll see you here tomorrow and the next day, so on and so forth. And I really hope you have a beautiful day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.